you expect to happen.
And photo evidence of the Since the launch of Enterprise Insurance Claim Express portal, our customers have benefited from the ease and convenience of managing their claims wherever they are for motor, property, and personal accident claims entirely online. Claim Express is simple and efficient and helps you to manage your claim from start to finish. Once you submit a claim online, you receive an SMS notification to confirm your claim. And then you receive notifications every single step of the way so that you're never, ever out of the loop. This is how you submit your claim online. So once you go onto the online portal, you submit your claim, you attach every supporting document that includes your ID, the cost estimate, and photo evidence of the incident that has occurred. And then you receive a tracking ID that allows you to be able to manage the process of your claim. At Claim Express, you're able to do all the things that you want to do concerning your claim from the convenience of your home or wherever you are. For seamless claim management, visit us on claimexpress.enterprisegroup.net.gh. Thank you.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Adulting. It has to do with responsibility, your ability to respond to situations.
What do we mean by the modern young adults? It means that they are now building up their career.
Because you need to figure your life out before you can welcome someone in.
Adulthood is a scam. What are your thoughts? One of the secrets to do adulting well is get mentors, get coaches, get counselors. Many young people fail because there's really no picture. And that has nothing to do with their identity.
If you want the opportunity to come your way to grab it, it's never going to come. But if you train yourself, then when the opportunity comes, you are ready for it.
Rich people, when their kids grow up and they make money, their first thoughts are not Mercedes-Benz and luxury cars and fooling around. They're thinking about stocks. They're thinking about starting a business. They're thinking about this.
For us, we want to sell something, a total experience to you. The most risks that will be a lot of claims. That is flight delays.
When it comes to claims, Enterprise Insurance is number one in the industry. Consistently, we've been the highest paying claim company.
I think you're rated what?
Triple A when it comes to claim payment.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
But how then do we transition?
In simple terms, a brand is your unique identity.
It's what we will remember you for. People remember the stories, they don't remember the product details.
So the more I got onto different platforms, the more I shared my story and the more I inspired people.
Branding is what will make you stand out. How do people recognize you? What do people know you for?
Others also think that it's for a selected few. So for celebrities, I nearly said the hour thing.
Shaking my meal, I get it. Baby, I so swan, I pick it. Kim Palude. This is for the but I am gonna spend them money.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Submit your insurance claim online in just seconds on the Claims Express portal. Simply upload your national ID, cost estimates, pictures, and more to get started. Submit online, track progress, and get paid fast. Skip the paperwork and get back on the road with ease. Visit claimexpress.enterprisegroup.net.gh for easy claims and quick payouts with absolutely no stress.
Enterprise, your advantage.
I pick it, I pick it, I pick it, I pick it. Hey, I didn't I pick it, I pick it, I pick it, I pick it. Shaky mommy, oh, I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. Baby, I so swan, I pick it, I pick it, I pick it, I pick it. Can't follow me. This is for the but I have to spend them money.
Enterprise.
Adulting. It has to do with responsibility, your ability to respond to situations.
What do we mean by the modern young adults? It means that they are now building up their career.
Because you need to figure your life out before you can welcome someone in.
Adulthood is a scam. What are your thoughts?
One of the secrets to do adulting well is get mentors, get coaches, get counselors. Many young people fail because there's really no picture. And that has nothing to do with their identity.
If you want the opportunity to come your way to grab it, it's never going to come. But if you train yourself,
Since the
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, cherished customers, partners, and colleagues. Welcome to another edition of our quarterly webinar series. This is the Smart Drive webinar. You recall that last quarter we had a webinar that was focused on travel insurance, and we called it the Smart Travel webinar, where we explored safe travel tips, and also we introduced the new economy and Euro basic packages for our travel insurance. I mean, that package was certainly for every budget. And due to the success we achieved with that webinar and the product uptake, we would be continuing with the webinar series every quarter. Today, we are going to zoom into Smart Drive, and that's about motor insurance. The two topics we want to consider today are beyond third party, why comprehensive motor insurance gives you more value. And then another interesting one, which I believe you and I will be very much eager to learn about, how to save money on fuel when it comes to fuel economy. I recall a friend told me that if you drive slowly and you don't step too much on the pedal, you'll be able to save fuel. And so the days I don't have fuel in my car and I'm trying to save, I don't speed. Let's see if it's going to be true today. And we'll have two distinguished speakers who will be doing justice to these two topics. In the persons of Mr. Stephen Owusu-Ansah, who is a service engineer at Toyota Ghana Limited. And then we also have our very own head of customer experience, Ohinewa Asante, who will be taking us through what other motor insurance policy options we have available to explore. And so without much ado, I would like to kick off the program by calling upon our very own Amanda Jamina-Kenton to give us the opening prayer, as is our culture and enterprise, to begin with a prayer for most of our meetings. Amanda, if you are available, please, let's hear you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon once again. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of today. We thank you for how far you have brought us this year. Thank you for the opportunity to gather together today for this webinar. As we begin this webinar, we ask for your presence to guide our discussions. We pray that you continue to inspire our ideas. Bless each of us with wisdom and clarity so that we have a very fruitful discussion. We commit this time into your hands. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You need to listen, or has she finished? Has Amanda finished the prayer? You have to alert me. Okay. Thank you very much, Amanda. Thank you very much for the powerful prayer. At this point, we would like to begin straight away with today's session. And we have none other than the service engineer of Toyota Ghana Limited, as I mentioned, Stephen Owusu-Ansah. Permit me to read Stephen's profile briefly as we begin today's session. Stephen Owusu-Ansah, a professional engineer, is a service engineer at Toyota Ghana Limited at the Accra branch operations, with over 10 years experience in the automobile service industry. He is also someone who is always having this continuous improvement in Kaizen and Kodawari and workshop management systems. Stephen is also well versed in the many systems and new technologies of the various models of Toyota vehicles. He holds a BSc Mechanical Engineering from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He professionally joined the Ghana Institute of Engineers in 2021. He is also a certified engineer of Automac Team 21 and Team GP from Toyota Motors Corporation. Without further delay, I have the honor and privilege to invite Mr. Stephen Owusu-Ansah to present to us on the topic, fuel economy and how to save on fuel when driving. So Stephen, the floor is yours. Kindly take over.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you to the enterprise team for the opportunity to handle this very important topic about fuel economy. The modern day drivers in Ghana are very much concerned about fuel. And so anytime they talk or anytime they drive, they are concerned about fuel. And because of the volatile prices of fuel in our country, they are so much concerned about the amount of fuel they consume. So without much talking, we'll just zoom straight away into the topic about fuel economy. So today we'll be looking at fuel efficiency on our roads and then practical advice on how to reduce our running costs. So one may ask, what is fuel efficiency? So fuel efficiency simply means the amount of fuel consumed per unit travel, or how much fuel is consumed to travel a set distance. Usually, before a vehicle is manufactured by the manufacturer, after the design concept and vehicles are manufactured, because they are also interested in the amount of fuel the vehicle will drive, because these are the units that drive their markets. And so they also want value for money. No one wants to buy a vehicle that would consume so much fuel. So after manufacturing, the vehicle is sent to a lab and is placed on a machine called a dynamometer, where it's subjected to so many conditions, the city conditions, highway conditions, and then they come up with the fuel efficiency value of a vehicle. So, for example, if you have a 2021 1.8 liter Corolla, the fuel efficiency of the vehicle is 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers of travel, meaning that per every 100 kilometers of travel, you would consume 6.9 liters of fuel. But bear in mind that this is just the theoretical value of the fuel you'll be using. So assuming you are traveling to Tema, which is approximately 35 kilometers, you should be looking at consuming, if you work out your mass very well, you should be looking at consuming roughly about 2.5 liters. And which is equivalently, when I checked yesterday, when I bought fuel from Total, per liter was 13.4 cedis. So if you do your maths well, you would have an amount of 32.36 Ghana cedis. And one may wonder, one may ask, is it really true? Yes, this is the theoretical value or the theoretical value of fuel efficiency, but they vary because of the various conditions on our road, traffic-wise and all that. But it may not go way beyond this value. And I can attest to the fact that I myself have driven from Tema to Accra with my fuel gauge just above E. And then I managed to get to Accra before refilling. So some of these values, when you see it, it's not because they're just throwing dust into your eyes, but they are real values that have been calculated, and they are the truth. So we would also want to know why we should have fuel efficient vehicles, because if your vehicle is not fuel efficient, I'm not sure you would want to get the brand of vehicle you want. And so there are two main reasons why vehicles should be fuel efficient. The very first one is because of its economic benefits. When a vehicle is fuel efficient, you and I will attest to the fact that you end up spending less amount of money on your fuel, so you can save enough money so that on Friday you can sit with your boys and then have a very good time, or the girls can also sit and have a good time, or a loving husband or a loving wife can take the spouse out and have a very good date night. So it's a very good, it was one of the it's a good state. So one of the economic benefits, it saves you money to do other things as well. And then the second one is environmental impact. You and I can attest to the fact that now we are living in a world where we are experiencing global warming. And global warming is as a result of the depletion of the ozone layer, and it's caused by these greenhouse gases from our vehicles. So the less fuel you spend on the road, the less pollution you cause. And that goes a long way to save our environment. So we'll look at the basic structures of an automobile. So for every vehicle, there are basic units or basic structures. So when you take a vehicle, the key components of a vehicle are: one, the engine, which is the powerhouse of the engine. The powerhouse of the engine, which generates all the energy needed for the vehicle. Then the second one is the drivetrain, or what we call the gearbox or transmission. That's what converts all the mechanical energy to propel the wheels on the road so that we can move. The third is the chassis. That's what is the framework that supports, that carries the engine and the transmission and then the body as well. So under the chassis, we have the brakes, we have the suspension, and then we have the steering. And then the last one is the body of the vehicle. So what people look at, the aesthetics of the vehicle is the body. So under that, we have the interior and then the exterior. So this is just to give us a fair idea about the basic structure of the automobile. We have the engine, the transmission, the chassis, and then we have a monocoque body. The monocoque body is for, usually saloon vehicles have an integrated chassis and body together. So that's what we term as the monocoque body. But for the four wheels, they have a separate chassis and a separate body that are mounted on, where the body is mounted on the chassis. So you have a monocoque body for the saloon vehicles, and then the body for the four wheels or the trucks. There are factors that affect fuel efficiency. And so one may wonder, why should I be so much concerned about fuel efficiency? Yes, you want to get a vehicle, but you have to bear in mind that the vehicle, your choice of vehicle matters a lot. So one of the very key factors of fuel efficiency is the choice of vehicle you acquire for yourself. That has a major impact on your fuel consumption. So if you are running on a very tight budget and you get yourself a four-wheel drive, let's say a Toyota Prado or a Land Cruiser 300, know that because of the size of your vehicle, you would have a higher fuel efficiency as compared to someone using a Yaris 1.5 liter or a Corolla 1.8 liter. So when you take a Corolla 1.8 liter, it has a fuel efficiency of an average of 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers. So if you have to travel to Tema, which is approximately 35 kilometers, you should be spending 33 cedis, roughly 33 cedis. When you take that of a Civic, its average fuel efficiency is 7.1, and you'll be spending closely 33.3 cedis. When you take a CRV, which is a 1.5 liter, its fuel efficiency is 8.1 liters per 100 kilometers, and you'll be spending 38 cedis. There are quite a number of them, so this is just a few I'd want us to share. And then also, one of the major factors is we having a conscious effort to use fuel efficient technologies on our vehicle. Vehicle manufacturers have designed vehicles such that despite there are certain things that you can't control, they are infused in the engine to make sure the engine is fuel efficient. But there are some technologies as well that the users of the vehicle can control. That means you can engage those switches so that your vehicle can be more efficient than others. So you have most vehicles now have what we call the eco mode. They have three choices. We have the eco mode, we have the normal mode, and then we have the sports mode. But most of the time, very strangely, you find a lot of people driving in a normal mode, and when you ask them, eco mode, they are not even aware that their vehicle has an eco mode. Eco simply means economic friendly and then also environmental or eco-friendly. So these are some of the switches that are on the vehicle that we can engage to enhance our fuel efficiency. We also have the idle stop and start function. So further on would get to explain some of these things for us to get a better understanding very well. So let's kind of look at a few fuel efficient technologies we have in some of our vehicles. The very first one is cylinder deactivation system, what we call the CDS. So the CDS is just a system where the vehicle's computer shuts down some cylinders not to work so that you can cut down on fuel. This technology was mainly in mini trucks and heavy trucks, but are now being applied in light vehicles. And so you realize that some of the vehicles now, when you are descending a hill or you are descending a slope, the CDS is activated. So instead of, or let's say I'm using a Corolla, which is a common vehicle in Ghana, if all the 4 cylinders are supposed to work, the computer would send a signal for 2 cylinders not to work so that you can reduce your fuel intake whilst just 2 cylinders will work to power the vehicle down the slope. We also have turbochargers. Turbochargers are just air induction devices that draw in large amount of air into the combustion chamber for combustion in the engine. So we realize that nowadays, a lot of vehicles now are using smaller engines and have turbochargers connected to it so that they can generate more power. So turbochargers they boost power for smaller engines. The common vehicles that use turbochargers nowadays is Honda Civic, Honda Accord, CRVs and others. They use very small engines, 1.5 liter, but they are able to generate a lot of power because of the turbochargers they use. Another technology we have is called the variable valve timing, or what we call the VVT. What it does is it varies the opening and closing of the intake valves so that you are able to reduce the combustion efficiency. So realize that in varying the intake and exhaust valves, the combustion efficiency is increased, and then you end up saving fuel whilst you drive. We also have the idle stop and start technology. So what this idle stop and start technology does is, when you are driving normally in the cities and you find yourself in traffic, what this technology does is that it turns off the engine for you to stop using your fuel till when you are ready to move. Once you move your leg from your brake pedal, the vehicle automatically kicks in, the engine automatically kicks in, and then you start to drive. So most vehicles that have these technologies, some people don't use them because as I said, a lot of us, we have some of these technologies on our vehicles, but we fail to engage them. So when you start using them, you get to experience the benefits of idle stop and start technology. Research showed that idle stop and start technology can increase the fuel efficiency from 6 to 10%, meaning that you end up reducing your fuel intake when you spend so much amount in traffic and you apply your idle stop and start technology. You can really, really, really reduce your fuel intake and can save a lot on your fuel. And then we also have another technology we call the direct fuel injection. This is where fuel is sprayed directly in the combustion chamber. Those of us who have started, or those of us who started driving early, you realize that earlier on we used to have what we call the carburetor system, where the air and fuel is mixed together, is transported to the intake before it's sent to the combustion chamber. And then technology evolved, and then now we had fuel being sprayed in the intake chamber where it mixes with the fuel before it mixes with the air, sorry, before it gets to the combustion chamber. But they realized that if you spray the fuel directly in the combustion chamber, you increase the engine efficiency, and so you end up reducing, you end up being fuel efficient. So now you have the fuel being sprayed directly into the combustion chamber, and then you end up maximizing your fuel. And then the last one is the weight of the vehicles. Vehicle weight matters because the heavier the car, the more energy you need to move the vehicle. And when the vehicle is heavy, we also have what we call rolling resistance. That's the force the tire has to overcome before it moves. And so if your vehicle is heavy, it means that there's extra weight on your tire. And it means that you need more force for the tire to move. And so with that, they came up with new ideas or new ways of reducing weight of our vehicles. So now you realize that the vehicles now, the modern vehicles now are much, much lighter as compared to the vehicles in the 1990s, where a lot of them were solid metals, but now you have a lot of composites, carbon fibers, and then you have mixed with aluminum to make the vehicles as light as possible so that we can reduce our fuel consumption. So this is just a few symbols of some of the fuel efficient technologies we have. The idle stop and start, you see it's an A with a circle around it where you can engage. For some of them, it's embedded in the engine, so you don't have to engage them. Like the VVTI is something that if your vehicle is equipped, you realize that it will be on the engine. And then sometimes you would see some of the vehicles having DI or GDI. So DI is direct injection. Usually it's on diesel vehicles, and then GDI is gasoline direct injection. That's about direct injection. And then we have the turbochargers. Most vehicles who have turbochargers don't really indicate on them. But for our Hyundai brothers, most of the vehicles that use turbochargers, you realize that even after, and when you look at the back of the vehicle, especially if they will usually write 3.0T, then the 3.0 simply means the cubic capacity of the engine, and then it's also letting you know that it's also equipped with a turbo. So it would help you reduce the fuel efficiency of the vehicle. So let's move on. So now we'd want to look at the main reason why we are here today, practical ways to be fuel efficient. The very first one is our tire pressures and the condition of our tires. Most of us, we don't pay attention to our tires. Whether our tires are worn out, they are underinflated, we don't care. All we know is once I get into my vehicle and I start, and my vehicle can start, and I move. Some of us are even not aware that our tires are down till somebody prompts us that your tire is down. So nowadays we have some technologies that help us monitor our tires. So we have what we call the TPMS, which is the tire pressure monitoring systems in some vehicles, that when your tire pressures are down, you would have a pop-up on the dashboard or on the screen letting you know that one of your tires are down. So you would get to the organizer to check and know which ones are down, and then you inflate it to the right pressure. Because under inflation would increase the rolling resistance of a tire, and then also increase the friction, which means that you need more power to overcome these before the vehicle can move. And then the condition of a tire is very key. Some of us drive our vehicles and the tire it looks very sakura. When you rub your hand around the tie, it's so smooth. Ideally, every tie should have a tie thread depth of roughly around 8 millimeters. But as time goes on, it wears because of the friction on our roads, it wears. And then when it gets to 3 millimeters, it's unsafe to drive. But most of us will drive and realize that you see some of actually those who drive the trucks, you look at the tire and the vehicle, and it's so from this, the whole surface is smooth, and so it's a worry, and it's bad, and all these things affect your fuel consumption. The second one is our vehicle maintenance. A lot of us have poor vehicle maintenance, and so we don't really maintain our vehicles well, and that affects our fuel consumption. Some of us, especially our air filters, the air filters is what filters the air that is sent to the engine. And so if the air filter is clogged, it means that small amount of air will be sent to the engine. And so if you need more power, if you need the vehicle to move or more combustion to happen, it means you have to depress the accelerator. That would have to drag in more air into the combustion chamber before the vehicle can move. And so you can attest to the fact that if, as those of us who live in houses with nets, if the net is very dirty, you realize that you don't have a lot of air flowing in. But once you wash the net or you change the net, you realize that now when the air blows around, you feel it. It's the same way with the filters. If the filters are clogged, you don't have a lot of air coming in, and so you have to apply more pressure on the accelerator, telling the vehicle that I need more power so that I can suck in more air. And in sucking more air, it means you are also inviting more fuel into the combustion chamber so that you can generate energy to move the vehicle. So it's one area we need to look at. And then also our spark plugs. Some drivers don't use the right spark plugs for their vehicle. And so, fire happens. Fire just needs three things: air or oxygen, fuel, and then a spark. And so if the spark plug, which is the one to generate the spark for combustion to happen, is faulty, or it's not good, it just simply means that you always be generating less spark. It means that the combustion will not be effective. It means enough power will not be generated, which means that you'd always have to accelerate more to get more power to be able to overcome the various forces on the vehicles. We also have faulty injectors, and even our oil we use. A lot of us don't really pay attention to the oil we use in our vehicles. But if you use the wrong oil, it means the lubrication effect of the engine is reduced. And it also means that the engine will not generate enough power for the vehicle to move. And then also one way of another practical ways, we have to stop unnecessary idling or excessive idling. For some of us, when you go to an office and then the person is not around, instead of us waiting in the reception, we would prefer waiting in our vehicles with the AC on. You can idle the vehicle for 30, 45, sometimes 1 hour, just sitting in your vehicle with your AC on. All these things affect your fuel consumption. And so let's look at it, because there are idlings that are necessary. If you are driving in town and you meet traffic or you're at a traffic light, you have to stop. And in stopping, you idle. But there are idlings that are very unnecessary. Even there are some people, when they are driving and they get home, they would spend roughly about 30 to 45 minutes in their car before they turn off their engines, and then they turn off their engines and go home. So you can imagine spending 45 minutes every day times 5 days in a week. And then you realize that you end up consuming a lot of fuel. And then also drive with your AC on. Some people will say, if you when I turn on my AC, yes, my vehicle consumes a lot of fuel. But usually what happens is that when a vehicle is moving, there are a lot of forces around it. it has to overcome the wind drag so that it can cut through the wind. And so usually if your glasses are down, you have the wind drag efficiency high. So you realize that you end up using more fuel to overcome the forces around the vehicle. And also it's best to drive your vehicle when you are driving around speeds of 80 kilometers and above. So usually if you are traveling or on a highway, using AC is the best because you end up saving a lot of fuel. Also, one other area is driving with steady speeds. You don't go too fast, you don't go too slow. There's some people when they are driving, the way they move on the road is so fast. Within a short space of time, they've moved from 0 to 50 already, 50 kilometers per hour. And then such driving, it means that you need more power. But when you drive steadily, it just means that you move through the gears. And as you move through the gears, you end up conserving your fuel. Because as you move through the gears, at a point, you don't need so much fuel to overcome the forces around you. So the vehicle itself calculates, and then you end up driving with less fuel. But if we drive aggressively, or we like start, you speed and you stop, you speed and you stop. When you stop, the vehicle comes to 0 before you move back again. You end up consuming more fuel. And then also we have people who drive with aggressive braking. They drive at very top speed and then they brake very hard. When you do that, you end up consuming so much fuel because when you brake hard, you eventually bring the vehicle to a halt. And so when you are moving back again, you need to now move through the motions. And so you would end up consuming a lot of fuel when you are starting from speed 0 to speed 50 than to drive gradually through the speeds. And then also, let's practice predictive driving. Google Map is there to help us. So when you are to set off in town, you can know where the routes to use so that you can avoid some of these traffics in town. Because if you practice predictive driving, you get to know the areas that are traffic prone, the areas that the traffic is mild, and if you know some shortcuts as well, you can also use it to help you. And in applying all these things, you realize that you end up saving so much money because you end up using less fuel for everything that you need to do. I hope we've learned something this afternoon. And so maybe after the sermon, after the webinar, if there are questions, we'll be available to answer them for you. So I'll hand over to Mark so that he can take over.
Thank you very much, Stephen. That was a very wonderful presentation, and we've learned a lot, I believe. I have also personally learned a lot in terms of making sure the oil in my car is the right one that I'm using, in terms of making sure that the Sakura tires that we have, sometimes the tire has been worn out for so long, and those of us who also drive low pressure tires around, we know it affects our fuel economy. Thank you very much once again. Before we move on to the next presentation, we have a couple of questions that I'll be asking, and the first person to answer it correctly would have a 50 cedis worth of airtime sent to their phone number. And so please, let's pay attention quickly. These questions are ones regarding Stephen's presentation. The first question is, state 3 practical ways to be fuel efficient. State 3 practical ways to be fuel efficient. And so we are going to reward the one with the first correct answer. We'll be able to get your contact number. Once your answer is right, we'll reach out to you and then give you the airtime. Then the second question is, mention the basic structures of an automobile. The basic structures of an automobile. So the basic structures he spoke about. I can hear someone saying these are PhD questions. These questions are difficult. You will get to the last 2 questions, and I'm sure you would be able to answer and participate as well. And then there is also a part that he said turbocharger. So what does a turbocharger do? Okay, what does a turbocharger for a car engine do? Stephen mentioned that some cars are now having lower capacity fuel, liter capacity, but having a good turbocharger. What does it do to the vehicle? And then the last one, what is the ideal stop or start can be saved by fuel? So ideal stop and start technology, the ideal stop and start technology, how much of the percentage of fuel does it save if you have that stop and start technology? He mentioned a range between a certain range and a certain range. So yes, so there is this ideal stop and start technology where some vehicles have and you can press or switch on. What percentage of fuel does it typically save? So these are the 4 questions, and I believe the right answers will be contacted for their airtime. Thank you very much again, Stephen. Now, without much ado, I would like to welcome our own head of customer experience at Enterprise Insurance. And before I call her, I would read her profile briefly. So she's in the person of Ohinewa Asante. So we have Ohinewa Asante, who has over 15 years of experience in the insurance industry, and she is a seasoned professional dedicated to delivering exceptional customer experiences. As head of customer experience, Ohinewa drives initiatives that prioritize customer interest, focusing on proactive communication and ensuring that every interaction exceeds customers' expectations. Her expertise spans insurance products, customer service operations, and team leadership. She is passionate about fostering long-term customer relationships, empowering customers with informed decisions, seamless experiences, and unparalleled support. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Ohinewa Asante, who is going to talk to us about what we need to know beyond third-party motor insurance. Ohinewa.
Your money. All right. So first of all, we know that in Ghana, immediately you have your vehicle insurance. The next you are looking at is to have a roadworthy, and then you zoom into your insurance, because without insurance, you can't drive. Why? Because as part of the Road Traffic Act, we are all mandated to have a third-party policy on every vehicle plying our roads. This is to ensure that whatever happens on the road, we are able to resolve whatever liabilities happen. We'll explain what liabilities are as we go ahead. We want to draw your attention to the fact that third-party policies only covers your liabilities to third parties. What are your liabilities? These are the injuries or the death that will occur to people by way of an accident. So you are on the road and there's an accident involving your vehicle, and then some persons suffer injury or some even die out of the accident. This third-party policy is supposed to ensure that you go ahead and then resolve or solve the problem for the who is affected. We also have property damage. If people are affected by way of property damage from an accident, your third-party insurance policy is supposed to cover that for you. But unfortunately, your third-party policy does not cover your own vehicle's damage. Any damage that is occurring to your vehicle is excluded specifically in the third-party insurance policy. So what do we hope to learn today? We want to be able to have some take-home. We want to understand that if my third party is not helping me to cover my own damage, what else do I have? What are the options available to me? We also want to know the difference between the third-party policy and the comprehensive policy, and then practical reasons why you may want to consider upgrading from a third-party policy to a comprehensive policy. All right, so what exactly is a third-party policy? We are looking at injuries or death caused to other people in an accident. Injury or death caused to other people in an accident. You realize that whenever there's an accident, there's a likelihood that somebody will get injured, whether the person in your vehicle or even outside, the pedestrian outside of your vehicle. There can be injuries from there, or people may even die out of the accident. So a third-party policy is supposed to cover these incidents to some extent, to some limits. Then we also have damage to other people's property. In case you are driving and you run into somebody's shop, you run into a tomato seller's table, you have damaged property, and the standard third-party motor insurance policy will cover you up to 8,000. That's what the standard gives for throughout across the industry. You get a cover of 8,000 for property damage. You also have a personal accident cover. That is the benefit to the driver who is handling the vehicle at the time of the incident. So for the driver, your benefit is not under the injury or death caused to the other persons, but for the driver, you have a personal accident cover, which will also take care of your injuries, some level of compensations, all within the 7,000. The good thing is that with the property damage, the standard limit of 8,000, you can always increase that limit at a charge. You can always increase that limit at a charge so that you realize that you can go and hit somebody's Mercedes-Benz and then the cost to repair may be far more than 8,000. So our take home is that you can take a third-party policy, but increase your property damage limit so that when the damage you have caused exceeds the standard that the policy is offering, you'll be able to sort it. If not, the person will hold your neck for the balance. Okay. Then we also want to know that the risk of having a third party is because your losses, your own damage losses, are not covered. This is the risk you face if you take a third party policy. So although it's mandated by law and you are free from the police if you do it, the risk is that you are only looking at other people's suffering, but your own loss is not covered under the third party policy. So let's look at the various types of third-party policies available for the motor insurance. The first one is the third-party only that we have already explained. That's the injury, death, or property damage, and then the personal accident cover for the driver. Now, we also have what we call the third-party fire and theft. Third-party fire and theft has to do with everything that is being covered under the third-party only policy, including a fire loss or a theft loss. So if fire occurs to your vehicle, whether it's coming from the vehicle or your vehicle is situated in a place where fire occurs, the loss that comes out of it, the policy will cover it. Of course, this will be up to the limits that you have insured. So if you have a value of 100,000 and there's a fire damage to your vehicle, depending on which part of your vehicle gets damaged, but if it's the whole vehicle, then the claim will be adjusted against the 100,000. If it's a portion of the vehicle, then whatever amounts we need to repair the vehicle, the claim will be adjusted against the 100,000 that you have insured. The same goes for the theft risk. So if there's theft to your vehicle, realize that you park your vehicle somewhere and side mirrors are taking off, sometimes even the removable the batteries and all that. If this happens, then this policy, a third-party fire and theft policy, kicks in. So you'll be able to buy a third-party fire and theft to include your fire and theft risk to the vehicle. Or if the whole vehicle is taken away, this policy can also sort you out. Of course, if police investigations are conducted and we realize that it's a valid theft claim, then you'll be sorted out. Then enterprise, because we care about you so much, we are saying that we have an amplified third-party policy. This is a unique offer from enterprise. because we are saying that we don't only want you to have a third-party policy that is going to take care of just your third-party liabilities, as we have explained. So rather, we want to give you an upgrade where we are taking care of minor scratches to your vehicle, we are taking care of windscreen damage, and we are also taking care of your side mirrors in case there's a loss to these three areas. So your windscreen damage, your side mirrors, damage to your side mirrors, and then minor scratches. Of course, all these, you benefit from them up to a limit on the policy. Okay, so this is what I've just gone through, the windscreen, the side mirrors, and then the minor scratches to your vehicle. That's a third party amplified. So I would advise that instead of just taking the basic third party cover that is being offered by the market, Enterprise has an amplified policy that serves you very well. Okay, I think that we'll pause here because we want you to soak in everything we have said so far and ask a few questions that will win you some awards. Mark, please go ahead with the questions for us.
Thank you very much, Ohinewa. So as we ask the questions, we would also entreat you to send your comments and questions. Anything you need clarification on, you can kindly type in the chat panel on whichever channel you are watching from, whether it's LinkedIn, we have the Facebook, and then YouTube. Now, the first question is, what does third-party motor only cover? So third-party only cover, what does it do? We have the third-party motor only. What does it do? I'm sure our production assistant, Edward, is typing it in the chat. And then we have the next question that says, name 3 parts of the vehicle that the amplified cover is. The amplified covers. So third-party amplified covers 3 main parts of the vehicle. Name those 3 parts. We go to the third question. What is the minimum cover mandated for motor insurance in Ghana? What is the minimum cover that every motorist should have? Minimum motor policy that every motorist should have in Ghana. Then the last one, what are the 3 types of third-party motor insurance that Enterprise offers? So we mentioned 3 different types. One is unique to Enterprise insurance, and then the other 2 are 2 different types of third-party. So these are the 4 questions. Anyone who answers them first would have the reward, and that's if you get the answers right. And we'll also be reading your comments and questions as and when they come in. So anyway, please, we can go on with the comprehensive part of the presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark. I'm sure we'll have some winners very soon. Okay, so let's go ahead. So as we have all the basics we need to know about the third party fire and theft, and then the third party amplified. Now we want to go into what your comprehensive motor insurance covers. From the beginning, we said that we want to give you all the reasons why you need to upgrade from a third party only to a comprehensive. So what does a comprehensive motor insurance give to you? So this is a full plan, a full protection plan for your vehicle. And when we say vehicle or your car or motorbike in this case, we mean every vehicle plying the road and every type of vehicle, even including your motorbikes. So what does it give you? We are going to go through everything. We are building up from the third-party basic cover that we've already explained. So there's death or injuries to persons involved in the accident. There's damage to property, there's damage to property, and then also there's personal accident cover for the driver. So these are all covered under the third party only already. So the additional benefits for your comprehensive is the damage to your own vehicle. Damage to your own vehicle. So bodily damage, fire loss, theft loss, or natural disasters. So all of these are covered for your vehicle in addition to what the third party cover is giving you. This is why we say it's a full protection plan for you. You can't have an accident on the road and then be interested in the third party only. You should be able to resolve whatever problems you also have because of the accident. And sometimes these comes at an unexpected time. You'd have to commit some amount of money to it. But if you have a comprehensive policy in place, then you are sorted. It gives you peace of mind and real value beyond just the legal requirements. You have a lot of peace of mind for that. Okay, so we've already mentioned what the standard comprehensive policy covers. Again, enterprise insurance cares about you. And so we have put together a policy that we term the Comp Extra. Comp Extra is unique to enterprise insurance. And these are the additional benefits. So it covers all the lines we have mentioned with regards to the standard comprehensive policy. It also has a loss of use cover. Loss of use cover meaning that in the event of an accident where your vehicle is unavailable for you to use, we give you a sort of inconvenience allowance to be able to help you to become mobile whilst your vehicle is under repairs or whatever is happening to your vehicle whilst after the incident. So that's the loss of use cover. So we give you a certain amount for about 14 days for you to sort yourself out so that you are not too inconvenienced. And we also have misfueling. If a fuel attendant makes a mistake and gives you wrong fuel for your engine, we know what kind of damage this can cause to you. So if it is established that this has happened to your vehicle, the Comp Extra also have some compensation for you in resolving this. And then finally, we have the extra personal accidents cover for the driver. Remember, we mentioned that the personal accidents cover is 7,000. So the Comp Extra is able to give you a lot more cover for the driver because 7,000 may be too small for a very intensive accident. All right, so going through comprehensive, going through third party, we want to look at exactly what the difference between the comprehensive and the third party are. So first of all, a comprehensive will cover the third party liabilities plus your own vehicle. So third party liability plus your own vehicle. So when you are looking at the third party only, you are only limited to the third party liability benefits. The other, anything that happens to your vehicle is excluded. Secondly, it pays for repairs or replacements for your vehicle, your own vehicle after the accident. It pays for repairs or replacements. So if you have a comprehensive cover in place and there's an accident, whatever happens to the vehicle, if it is a damage that is not involving the whole vehicle, there will be some form of repair to the vehicle. So this policy is able to do that for you. If you need to replace the whole vehicle, we'll be able to do so as well under your policy, up to the limit that the value that you put on the policy. But when it comes to your third party only cover, you know that anything happening to your vehicle is totally excluded. We are only looking at what liabilities you have caused from the accident. Okay. Then we also have financial security. It saves you from unexpected expenses. You know, the way you wake up in the morning, you are coming to work and something happens on the road, touch wood. It messes up your whole day and it messes up your finances as well. But if you have a comprehensive plan in place, you know that there's something you can fall on to assist you during these times. And when you look at the amount you have to pay and compare it to the benefits you receive when you have an accident, you realize that you are really taking a good decision by buying a comprehensive policy. And then lastly, full protection, peace of mind, and long-term value. You realize that with a comprehensive cover, as you even go along the years without any accident, your premium reduces up to about the 5th year. So we reward you for good driving, not bringing in an accident. And then you also have your peace of mind. If you are driving with a comprehensive cover, you are okay. You're in your mind, you know that there's something that you can easily fall on when the unexpected happens. So this is why I would advise you to buy a comprehensive cover instead of just fulfilling all righteousness for Ghana Police. Thank you very much, everyone. Mark, I think we are ready for our questions.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ohinewa. And I like the way you ended by saying this is why you need a comprehensive motor insurance policy rather than just fulfilling all righteousness, okay, to avoid the police. A lot of people would like to just buy the sticker And it reminds me of a story that happened just last week. Someone I know, she had an accident with this Daewoo Matiz cars, the very small one, and it costed 3,000 Ghana cedis to repair. 3,000 Ghana cedis. I mean, they came to me looking for money. They wanted to borrow money, and I didn't know what to do because I also didn't really have much money at the time. But if we are going to heed to the advice, I believe that we are all going to consider comprehensive one way or the other so that we can get more protection for our vehicles when it comes to insurance. So just before I ask the questions, I've seen quite a number of comments here. I see Cecilia Dazi from Facebook said, well said. Nanadwa Sewado from YouTube says, enterprise insurance, your advantage, and she gives a thumbs up and a fire emoji. And Isaac Edu from Facebook says, great discussion. And Cecilia from YouTube, have been waiting for long for an information like this. Thanks for bringing this up. And I believe it's to do with both the full economy and what we've discussed on the third party. And we've seen the answers that most people have presented. Parkwesi also says this is very good information. Margaret Asari gives us a thumbs up from YouTube. And then there's a question. Samamate Date, he says, please, is it true that early morning fuel, okay, so he put it as early morning fuel buying. So let's say buying fuel early in the morning, does it save money? So I would direct it to engineer Stephen.
Okay, so it doesn't. What it does is that, you know, when in the morning the temperatures are cold, so you get to at the fuel station, you will get the exact amount of oil you want to buy. But usually in the afternoon, because petrol is very very volatile and it evaporates, so in the afternoon, maybe if you are buying 50 cedis, you end up getting about 47 or 48 cedis, 2 cedis less. But it's no fault of the fuel attendant. It's just the nature of petrol, but of the fuel. But if you are buying it very early in the morning or in the evening, because the temperature is relatively cool, you end up getting more fuel. So that is that.
Okay. Thank you very much, engineer. So that's the answer. Samuamate, engineer Stephen says that when you buy fuel in the morning, because there's less evaporation, there is some bit of savings. Not so much, but there's still some bit of savings. Kweku Godfrey from Facebook says, I'm watching you live at my workplace. And then Nanadwa from YouTube also gives us a clap, 3 clap emojis. We have answers to the questions. Ellie also says, helpful insights for everyday drivers from LinkedIn. And then we have quite a number of comments here. The answers are also written here clearly, and our operational team is looking at it, and they will be contacting you for your contact numbers so that we can send the airtime to you by close of business today. Thank you all very much. And at this point, I believe we would have to be wrapping up. We have 4 questions that I'll be mentioning now, and Edward will help me to type it in the chat box. But for the comprehensive side, the questions are 2. So the question number 1 is, what are the extra benefits the Com Extra offers? The Motor Comprehensive Extra, that is unique to enterprise insurance. Mention the extra benefits for that policy. Then the last question on the comprehensive, mention 2 differences between comprehensive, motor, and third-party insurance. So the 2 differences, the differences were about 6. So if you mention 2, someone else who can give it a try. 2 differences between third-party motor and comprehensive insurance. So these are the last 2 questions we have. They will be typed in the chat box and we'll have answers. And we have also other comments coming in from Atokran. He says, great job, team. Good job, team, from Atokran. We have Mariana saying, great information for all. Now, there's a question here. Joseph Safro, he says, is it true AC consumes a lot of fuel? So, Stephen.
It depends. Naturally, when you turn on your AC, you just increase your RPM from usually and add you increase the RPM a little bit. So depending on what you are doing. So if you are just idling with your AC, yes, you will consume fuel. But if you are driving on a highway, you are traveling with your AC on, you consume less fuel. So it depends on what you are doing.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Paul says, awesome show, team. And then we have the questions also with the answers here coming in. We've seen your answers. I think this is Darocha, Jedua Pia, Michael Tete. Michael Tete says, please, will there be the option to download a few interview later? Yes. So after this live session, when you go to all our platforms, the interview will be there as a full video, and you will be able to download or watch again in case you just want to catch up on something you missed out. So I see the questions and the answers. Cecilia has written the answers. I see a lot of answers coming in. As we said, the operational team is marking the script. So once you get this right, we'll surely contact you. And just before close of the day, we should be able to furnish you with your award. Thank you very much. We will wrap it up since we promised that the webinar will be in exactly 1 hour, and we are almost getting to the end of the webinar. We would like to call upon our Assistant General Manager for Corporate Distribution, Michael. Michael, if you are on standby, please, let's have closing remarks from you as we wrap up for today's webinar.
Hello, Mark, if you can hear me. Can you hear me, Mark? Can you hear me, Mark?
Yes, Michael, please go ahead. We can hear you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so distinguished customers, partners, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, as we bring today's Smart Drive webinar to a close, let me take a moment to thank you for your time, your attention, and your engagement. At Enterprise Insurance, we believe knowledge is just as important as the protection we provide, because informed decisions are what truly give you the advantage. From our discussions today, two key lessons stand out. Firstly, while motor third-party insurance may meet the legal requirement, comprehensive motor insurance gives you far greater value, protecting not only you, but also others on the road, protecting again your vehicle and then your finances. Secondly, with the right habits, we can all drive smarter by achieving better fuel economy, stretching every liter further, and saving money in the process. These are practical insights that go beyond insurance to impact our everyday lives. We are proud to work. Enterprise has stood strong.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Thank you very much for the powerful closing remarks. So at this juncture, we'll be bringing the webinar to an end, and we want to thank everyone for making time to listen to us. As we've mentioned already, when you go on our social media channels, you go on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you'll see the full edition of the webinar. You can view once again. At this point, if Joseph, if you are available, kindly let's have you. Okay, Joseph, if you are available, kindly let's have you have the closing prayer so that we can wrap up for today.
Our Heavenly Father, as we come before you with a grateful heart, as we conclude this time of learning together, we thank you for the knowledge and the insights shared today. about protecting our vehicles and also managing our resources wisely. We thank you that you have brought us to a successful end of this webinar, and we commit ourselves into your hand. Even as we leave here to our various homes, you continue to protect us. In the name of Jesus, we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
When you buy both, you get more airtime. When you buy either of them, whether it is home insurance or motor insurance, you get free airtime up to 250 Ghana cedis. Same happening on the Advantage app, the Enterprise Advantage app. So kindly follow our social media pages and make sure you don't miss out on any of these promos. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.